Hi guys, welcome to Cosmic Solutions, Dr. Priyanka's Biology. So here we are going to learn about concepts of biology to biotechnology with me. So today we are starting with cell cycle and cell division. So this is one of the most important and most frequently asked questions are mostly from this particular topic. So let's take your NCERT, your NEET exams, or further when you want to proceed or go ahead with your life sciences or biology or biological sciences, this particular topic is going to be the most favorite for most of the exams. Okay, so cell cycle and cell division. So from the name we know there are two parts. That is, the first part is going to be your cell cycle, and second part is going to be your cell division. Okay, so we will see what are the things which we will cover under this. So in this particular topic or in this particular chapter, we are going to see what is a cell cycle, what are the components or the phases of cell cycle. In particularly, we are going to focus on the M phase or the mitosis phase, which we will see in future coming classes. Then what is the significance of this M phase? The next part will be the meiosis part. So what is meiosis? What are the phases of meiosis? And what is the significance of this particular meiosis? So all these things will be covered under this particular chapter, that is cell cycle and cell division. Okay. So now let's start. So from the name itself, we know what is this going to be. Cell cycle. So we know it's a cycle. So what do you mean by a cycle? Processes happen over and over, again and again. So a particular process will start from a particular point. It will go ahead, it will proceed, and again it is going to come back to the same point. So next phase, again it is going to start from that particular point. So something is happening in a sequential manner, in a cyclic manner, and this is pertaining to a cell. So that is why the name is cell cycle. Okay, so now we know a cell. So what is the function of cell? A cell has to undergo growth and reproduction, right? So why are we like this? So we know embryology, right? So from a, from the zygote, how a multicellular organism is formed, because there is regular cell division. Okay, so all these things are because of this process called as the cell cycle. So here in particular, what happens is there is going to be duplication of the genome, because we know we are saying a cell cycle, it is specially something to do with the division of a cell. So when we say a cell is dividing, so basically what is happening? Sorry. So what is happening over here? A cell is dividing. That means from one cell, we are going to get two more daughter cells. Fine. Cell 1, daughter 1 and daughter 2. So since it is a division or we are dividing into two parts. So let us say if there is a father or some parent is there. That parent is dividing its, assets into two children. So it is always going to be fair division. It's not like, one kid is going to get more and second kid is going to get something less. Nothing like that. So we know it has to be a fair and equal division of the assets. So same thing happens in a cell cycle. The parental cell, okay, is going to divide its assets. So what are its assets? It's genetic material, correct? Most importantly, so everything, the entire design, the functioning, it is going to be because of the genetic material. So it is going to be its genome. Secondly, its other constituents, the cytoplasm and other components, again that is going to get divided equally into both the cells, right? So a cell cycle, it is a sequence of events in which one, there is going to be duplication of the genetic material or the genome. Two, there is going to be synthesis of other constituents of the cell. And finally, what is the end result? End result is going to be two daughter cells. Okay. So you have to Remember these three things when we have to define a cell cycle. Fine. All right. So now here, another thing that you need to keep in mind, especially from your NEET concept or the NEET point of view, that is, there is going to be increase in the cytoplasm or increased cytoplasm that occurs in a continuous process. At each phase, there is going to be increase in the cytoplasm, so it occurs in a continuous manner. But most important thing, that is the DNA synthesis or the replication, it occurs only during a particular phase or a specific phase in the cell cycle. Cytoplasmic increase is a continuous process, whereas DNA synthesis occurs only during a particular phase of cell cycle. Fine. So this is going to be another important point that you need to keep in mind. Okay. So next, the replicated chromosomes. Okay. They are again distributed to the daughter nuclei in a very complicated or the complex events. So all these events again, they are going to be under a strict or the stringent genetic control. Okay. It is going to be under stringent genetic control. Now let us see. Okay. If you have to travel by some flight, so you have to go to the airport, right? So this entire process of cell cycle can be compared to an airport situation, wherein to enter the airport, so you remember, like, recall that you are at an airport. So first thing you meet are the security people, right? So they will ask for your ticket and some identity proof, maybe your Aadhaar card or something like that. So if you do not have these things, you cannot enter the airport. You have to return back. So why you have to return back? Because you are not ready for your travel. So why you are not ready for your travel? Because you are not qualifying the required conditions. That is having an ticket, valid ticket, and your identity proof. Suppose if you have your ticket and not the ID proof, again it becomes a problem. You are not qualifying completely. Or similar situation occurs in your cell cycle. Fine. So at each phase of your cell cycle, you need to have certain entry passes, just like your ticket and your identity proof. That means you are qualified. If there is any up and down, or if there is some, you know, problem, or there is something, one part is correct, one part is wrong. That means now here in case of cell cycle, it will not be some ticket or your identity proof, whereas it will be the required condition. That means the enzymes, the proteins required, okay, the particular situation in the cell where the chromosomes are pulled towards the opposite poles or not, there is formation of metaphase, all these things are there, so which we will see in upcoming slides or upcoming classes. Okay, so if all these conditions are met, then only the cell cycle is going to proceed. Okay, so here we have to remember that it is under genetic control, or we can call as the checkpoints. There are checkpoints and the cell has to qualify or pass through these checkpoints so that it will lead to its final destination, that is formation of the two daughter cells. Okay, so we will move on to the next part, that is the phases of cell cycle. So what are the phases of cell cycle? Okay, we know that it is a very complicated process. Okay, from the previous part, whatever I have spoken, from this at least you can make out that it occurs in a particular manner, sequential manner. Okay, it is under genetic control, stringent genetic control. That means, okay, it becomes a very elaborate process. So, if we can divide it into different components or phases, it becomes easy to understand, right? And it becomes easy for the functioning also. So here the cell cycle is basically divided into two parts. That is, the first part is the interphase and second part is the M phase or the mitosis phase. Okay. Now here we have to remember one key point, that is cell cycle is going to differ from organism to organism. For example, let's take human cells which are grown under culture conditions. Okay, here it is said that or most of the cells they have studied, it is seen that they take around 24 hours to divide under culture conditions. Whereas we take yeast cells, okay, they undergo this division or that cell cycle is about 90 minutes. So you can see there is a clear-cut difference. So the same it will not be the same duration. So cell cycle is going to differ from organism to organism. Okay. So coming back to the phases of cell cycle. So there are two parts. That is the interphase and the M phase. Now this interphase is again divided into G1 phase, S phase and the G2 phase. So basically this interphase, it is also called as the resting phase. Why it is called resting phase? Because it is like a bus stop. Okay. Your cell cycle or the interphase of the cell cycle, it's like a bus stop. So on the bus stop, what happens? You are coming from your house. Okay. You're waiting over there. You're keeping your bags. We'll check your tickets. Okay. So basically, and again, you have your eatables, you will keep your water. So actually what you are doing, you are waiting, you are preparing for your travel, isn't it? So your interphase is something like your bus stop. So it is preparing the cell for the actual cell division. So cell division is going to be your actual thing, the bus which will carry to your final destination. Your final destination in your cell cycle is going to be the division of the cells, giving rise to two daughter cells. So, interphase is the bus stop where you are preparing for your travel. Travel is the actual your M phase, going through the M phase. Your bus is taking you, and the final division. Okay, final division is going to be your destination. Okay, so again, G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase. So G1 phase is the phase where there is a cell growth. Okay, the cell is active. S phase, okay, S, it stands for synthesis. So synthesis of your DNA, okay, this is what I was talking about. There is going to be continuous cytoplasmic increase, but the synthesis of the DNA or the DNA replication occurs only during one phase, and now we know that phase is, it is in your interphase and it is the S phase of cell cycle. The next part is the G2. So this is the preparation for your mitosis, like the final step before entering into the bus. So what is there? The ticket counter or the ticket collector is going to check for your ticket. He is going to tell you, okay, this is your seat number. Go and sit there. Okay, you're picking up your bags. You're making sure everything is there with you. So this is that phase of your bus stop life. So once you are done, you are going to enter the bus. Bus is going to take you the final destination, that is going to be your cell division. Fine. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. So that is going to be your M phase. Okay, so M phase, it stands for your mitotic phase or the mitosis phase. So what happens over here? So the actual process of cell division is going to occur in your M phase. Okay, so all this while the interphase, what I told you, is the preparatory phase or the resting phase, and the hustle bustle or the actual activities of cell division, they are going to occur in this M phase. Fine. You can also remember it like, when we consider these alphabets, A, B, C, D, A to Z. So M is somewhere in between. So from A to M part, what happens is the preparation, and M to Z, that is the final destination. So you can remember it this way. Or if you find it difficult, that I comes before M. So interphase is first and then the M. In the alphabets, I comes before M. So you have to remember it this way. Okay? Alright. So in your M phase, first thing that is going to occur is going to be a nuclear division. Okay. So followed by separation of the daughter chromosomes. First part is the division of the nuclear division. Second part is going to be the separation of the daughter chromosome. So we have a cell. Okay. So first it is going to be the nuclear separation. Okay. Then we have the chromosomes. So even these chromosomes have to get separated. So this is called as karyokinesis. Karyon stands for chromosome. So chromosome separation of daughter chromosome is karyokinesis. And the last part is going to be the end of the division. Okay, it is going to be end. So this end is going to be with the division of the cytoplasm. So when the cytoplasm is divided, you will get the two daughter cells. So the process of division of cytoplasm, it is called as the cytokinesis. Cytokinesis. So it is going to be a nuclear division followed by karyokinesis, that is the separation of the daughter chromosomes, and cytokinesis, that is going to be the division of the cytoplasm. So you have to remember this sequence. Again, these two terms, you should not get confused with karyokinesis and cytokinesis. This is again important from your NEET point of view. Right? So we move on to the next part. Okay? That is going to be your interphase. So let us see, or let us go through this interphase in detail. Okay, so what happens in interphase? So if we remember, if you go back to the previous slide, if you see here, we know that interphase, we have the G1 phase, S phase and the G2 phase. G1 phase, we said that is going to be cell growth. S phase, that is DNA replication or DNA synthesis. G2 is the preparation for mitosis. So this was just to recall. So again, coming back to interphase. So we know the three components. So let us take the first component, that is the G1 phase. So what exactly happens in G1 phase? Okay. So it's an interval between mitosis and initiation of DNA replication. Okay. So if you see here, let's go back to this slide. So your G1, it is a phase. So it is held between your mitosis, M phase, and here we have the initiation of the DNA replication or synthesis of DNA. So it is an interval between initiation of DNA replication or the DNA replication and the mitosis. Okay. So this you have to remember. Then during G1 phase, your cell is going to be metabolically active and there is continuously cytoplasmic growth. But here again we already know this point. Okay, there is no replication of DNA because we know that replication of DNA occurs only in the S phase. Fine. So two important things we have to remember. What is G1 phase? The interval between the mitosis and the initiation of the DNA replication. And second important point, you have to remember three things actually. Second thing you have to remember, the cell is metabolically active. And the last part, there is cytoplasmic growth, but there is no there is no DNA replication or synthesis. Okay, so next phase is going to be your S phase or the synthesis phase. A phase there is synthesis of DNA. Okay, so here there is DNA synthesis or replication. Now here we know that there is synthesis of DNA or replication. That means what will happen to your DNA content? It is going to double. So the phase where there is doubling of DNA, it is going to be your S phase, or suppose if let's take in your NEET exam, if the option is interphase is there, so you have to choose interphase, and if the option is S phase, you have to choose S phase. So you remember, so S phase is a part of your interphase. Fine. So let us take an example that suppose, okay, the initial content of your DNA was 2C or let's say 1C. Okay. So during the S phase or the after the S phase, what will happen? The DNA content is going to increase. It is going to double. So it will become 2C. Suppose if it is 2C, sorry, suppose it is 2C in the initially it is going to become 4C. I said 2C, right? So it is going to become 4C, right? And suppose if it was 1C, then the DNA content is going to be 2C. So here remember that it is going to double. Now, though there is increase in the DNA content or there is doubling of the DNA, but there is no increase in the chromosome number. Chromosome number remains the same. Even after S phase, the number of chromosomes is going to be the same. For example, if the cell had diploid or the 2N chromosomes at G1, even after S phase, it is going to remain 2N only. There will not be an increase in the number of chromosomes, but there is doubling of the DNA. So keep these points in your mind. Okay, so next is DNA replication is going to begin in the nucleus. So here centrioles also duplicate in the cytoplasm. There are two more events occurring here. So DNA replication is occurring in the nucleus, whereas the centriole, it is present in the cytoplasm. So that duplication is occur into the cytoplasm. So here we are step by step preparing or heading towards the bus that is going to take us to the final destination. That is, we are preparing for the actual cell division. So things are getting doubled up so that each daughter cells get equal or the fair amount of the content from the cell. Okay. So next part is going to be your G2 phase. So what happens in G2 phase? Okay. So during this phase, so we know that we are actually preparing. So I said, if we compare it to the bus stand, we are preparing everything. We are keeping the ticket ready. We are taking the luggage and we are just about to enter the bus, which is where, the mitosis is going to occur. Okay, so here what are the requirements? So proteins. So here the proteins, whatever the proteins which are required for the cell division to occur, the preparation of the mitosis, they are present over here. So during this phase also the cell growth is continuous. So this is something that is constant, cell growth. Okay, and now here cell division occurs as a continuous process in most of the cells. Now, why this cell division is required? Okay, in order to replace the wear and tear of the cell. So we know every day we have the dead cell. That cell is going, but again we don't even realize that again it is replenished. Okay, so like this, so many events are occurring in your body. So we should be thankful to cell cycle for maintaining us. Right, because we don't have to get something and stuff so that we remain as we are, right? So all this wear and tear, minor things, whatever is happening, okay, everything is, replaced or it is kept under control because of the cell cycle. Okay. So next phase we will see, that is the M phase. Okay. So what is this M phase? We have already seen. Okay, I missed one slide. Okay, so that is the next part. So we have seen what is G1 phase, what happens in S phase, what happens in G2 phase, and then there is something that we had not discussed previously, that is G0 phase. So let's go back to the original slide, that is this. Okay, so here there is something G0 phase. So what happens to G0 phase? Zero. That means something is at rest. Okay, resting phase. So what is this? So we'll see it here. So G0 phase, okay, it occurs in especially those cells which do not undergo regular cell division process. For example, we have neurons. Okay, And the cells in this particular phase, they remain metabolically active, but there is no cell division or they do not proliferate. So it is called as the quiescent stage or the quiescent cells. So they will enter the cell division only when it is required. So this is like the reserve force. Okay, so we have, we have something called as a reserve battalion. So this G0 phase, the cells in the G0 phase, they are like the reserve battalion. Only when there is requirement, these cells are going to enter the cell division. Okay. So now, before moving on to the next part, we have to remember that in animal cells, mitosis occur in diploid cells only. Okay. Whereas in plants, it is seen in both haploid as well as the diploid cells. Okay. So far what we have learned, let's recall it quickly. First thing, what is a cell cycle? What are the phases of cell cycle? Then we had seen interphase. What are the parts or the components of your interphase? G1, S phase, G2 and G0. What happens in G1? The cell is metabolically active. Okay, so it is preparing. So it's a phase between your mitosis and initiation of the cell division. Sorry, mitosis and initiation of DNA replication. So next part is going to be a S phase. S phase, there is actual division or the replication of the DNA. There is increase or the doubling of the DNA, but not the chromosomes. Okay, cytoplasmic increase is constant. Then next part is your G2. What happens in G2 is the cell is actually preparing for the mitosis. Okay, and the last part is your G0. So here G0 is for those cells which do not undergo regular cell division. So they remain metabolically active, but there is no proliferation or the division. Okay. They will come into picture or they will enter cell division only when required. So another point I told you is about what happens in animal cells. It occurs only, cell division occurs or mitosis occurs only in the diploid cells, whereas in plants it occurs in both haploid and diploid cells. So next part we are going to see is your M phase. So let us roughly see what we are going to see in M phase and we will cover it into the next segment. So M phase or the mitosis phase. Okay, so this is the phase where there is actual cell division. So there are three things that happens. First thing is the nuclear division. Then there is separation of the daughter chromosomes. And finally, there is division of the cytoplasm giving rise to two daughter cells. Here, the number of chromosomes in the parent and the progeny remain the same. So it becomes the equational division. Okay, your mitosis, it has 4 stages, that is going to be your prophase, metaphase, anaphase, okay, and telophase. So this M phase we are going to see in the next segment. So till then, keep studying, keep recalling. Thank you.